Thanks for listening to this episode of the Starter Log Off the Cuff podcast. In this episode, we interview the CEO and founder and current owner of Ojo Creative, Joe Mastrino. Joe Mastrino is the brother of Timmy Mastrino, who has been a guest on the podcast before. And interviewing him is myself, Charley, and Kevin Cook. So we sit down and we talk about a lot of different things. We talk about Indiegogo, which I didn't even know what website that was before this. We talk about Joe running the business as an entrepreneur. And in this segment, throughout the first, I believe, 10 minutes or so, we were on Facebook Live. So this is the continuation of the Facebook Live video that you might have seen, where Kevin and I visited Joe in apartment number 3, a.k.a. the Ojo Lab, a.k.a. the dopest place in the world. Kevin and I visited Joe, and we decided to broadcast, I guess you could say, the first 10 minutes of our interview on Facebook Live. So you're going to hear that. You're going to hear mentions of us being on Facebook Live. At the 10-minute mark, we then cut it off and continue the conversation and continue talking to Joe. So a lot of great content in here. Joe is a very interesting cat, to say the least, and he contributed very, very well. He opened up to us. He was transparent and join the conversation, and that's really all that we can ask for at the end of the day. So please, before I go, because there won't be an official closing to this episode, places you can find us on iTunes, which is also that purple podcast app on your iPhone. If you're using Android, it's probably in the podcast app that Android uses, which I'm not familiar with. We're on Twitter as well, where we interact with everyone that tweets us. @_the_starterlog_. We're on Facebook, and you can find our podcast and thought-provoking, fuel-starting of the mind articles on www.thisstarterlog.com. Thanks for listening.
I think we're live now.
I think we're live.
We're live.
Oh, we're live.
Hello, everyone.
Facebook Live, what's going on?
This is Kevin and Charley from the Starter Log with our guest here, Joe Mastrino from Ojo Creative.
We're live.
We are live. We're doing it live. We're going to give you a small 10-minute sample of one of our next podcasts coming out, which we're recording right now. So you're going to listen to us, and then if you like it, you should go check out the full
Not
Joe
if,
Mastrino.
When you like it.
When you like it. Right.
You guys are sitting in a magical forest right now, I just noticed.
We're in the Ojo Lab. Undisclosed location.
Undisclosed
no
location.
one will know where it is. Only we know where it is.
It moves. Ojo's location constantly is moving.
Right.
And if you don't know what the Starter Log is, basically what we're trying to do is just to build a platform for conversation that we've all had at one point in our lives, maybe at the lake around a bonfire. And you always have good conversation around bonfires. So this is kind of a platform that we're building. And if you guys ever want to get in the conversation, feel free to comment on the Facebook Live video. Feel free to share it. Feel free to just contact us. But this is just a conversation to have some fun and maybe get to learn a little bit.
There's a lot of firsts going on right now.
A lot of firsts.
First live feed, and we got this brand new Yeti mic.
Brand new.
I feel honored. I feel like there's a lot to live up to. I feel a little
It's
bit
slick.
pressured right now.
It's metallic black.
Yeah.
It's slick right now.
Okay, well, cool.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
excited.
good. Let's start it off.
Jump in.
We'll start it off with kind of one of the segments that we do, GCBC. And GCBC is basically good company, bad company. And so I kind of want you just to name one thing about an experience that you had with a good company recently, or an experience you had with a bad company recently, and kind of what entailed from all that stuff.
So I actually love Indiegogo and Kickstarter things. I don't know if you guys do anything or buy anything off of Kickstarter. I happen to buy this new electric bike off of Indiegogo, and
can we explain what that is
Yeah,
really quick?
so yeah, no, like an electric bike, you know, they're starting to pop up. For the longest time, electric bikes have been kind of dorky, you know, they kind of look like you look like a nerd on it. But, you know, like places like in Denmark where this bike happens to be manufactured by this brother-sister team named Julian Christine, and then, shoot, I forgot her brother's name, but startup company, they designed a bike that has a 50 mile range. It goes 20 miles an hour, and it looks cool. It looks like something different, and it trifolds. So when I looked at it, I wanted to throw it in the back of my pickup truck, throw my drone on, and like ride into the wilderness and get some cool stuff. That was the thought. So on Indiegogo, they were originally asking for $80,000. They were the #1 fastest growing Indiegogo project, and within like 2 months, it went up to $4 million. Okay. So their bikes in general started at, you know, my bike I bought was like for $800 as an early bird buyer. And then once it goes to production, they cut that, and it's now like a $2,500 bike. So they said everything would be ready by October.
So you bought it.
I bought it. You give your money to Indiegogo, and like you don't get, even if you were to ask for a refund, you don't get 100% back because Indiegogo takes a percentage of that. That's how those crowdfunding things work. So anyway, you give it $800, $900, and just twiddle my thumbs. It has been forever long. So luckily, they have been doing updates. I can't imagine as a small business owner myself having to go from an $80,000 ask to like a $4 million. Where do you even begin? So to answer your question, Charlie or Kevin, with GCBC.
Yeah.
I like that. It's kind of a both. It's good and bad for this one particular company because on one hand, I totally feel their trials and tribulations because they have to manufacture over like thousands of bikes. So they send updates. What they do good is that they do send. What they do well, they do send updates of the production, pictures of it, and to see someone like a brother and sister team go from a concept to ask someone for money to now they're shipping all over the world, and like mine's due in the next couple weeks. I'm super excited. Well worth the wait. However, kind of bad at getting back to people on emails. I can only admit, I don't know how that is. You know, like I don't know how to wage that.
They
as
probably
really
would slam too. I mean, they probably can.
Everyone's, where's my bike? Where's my effing bike? Where's this? And it's like, have some little bit of compassion from them trying to do something extraordinary. So I'm gonna turn it back to you guys.
So is that good company?
I'm gonna ask you, like, for like that to me, it's good. It's good for the updates. It's great for the updates to do them once a week, or at least they try. And then it's bad for not responding. But I can only imagine how difficult would that be. Right. So do you consider that bad? You know, like bad business or bad customer service?
I mean, I think you have to be prepared for the overwhelming. If you believe that your product's that good, you have to be prepared for an overwhelming amount of customer service need.
And that's one thing I noticed, that when you get suddenly like an influx of $4 million, like where do you even start? Where do you even begin? Like, all right, a lot of the big problems that people are having with that, no one has a bike delivered, but they continually post social media pictures of like, look at this, and people are like, dude, like let us post these pictures. What is this about? You know? So I don't know. I'm excited. I got a white color. I'm like order number 1100. So that means I'm in the first batch, which I'm really excited about. So I don't know. We'll see. I guess it's a follow-up question once I do get the bike, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. It sounds like they have a huge infrastructure problem, and it probably came out of nowhere. So I could kind of, I guess, it's one thing, right, to not be prepared. I can kind of feel for them because that's just a huge, like, how do you even mass produce all of that?
Yeah.
But there's all their marketing efforts are still like rocking and rolling, but they're just not getting back to. They're sending out weekly mass updates instead of like individual.
Yeah, they're almost doing the opposite. They're almost like doing like this the marketing push when they have all the inventory now that they should be like just sending the bikes out and then let the customers who bought it do the marketing for them. Get those bikes out as fast as you can, because everyone's going to take photos of it, do like a prize, or like who's got the best mate story. That's what the bike's called, by the way, a mate. But
So would you tell me to use their product?
It's hard for me to tell because there's not one person I know who actually has the bike. Like dealing with lithium-ion batteries, different legalities in different countries about speeds, motorized vehicles.
Right.
I mean, I can't imagine. So there's certain bikes that like Europe can't buy that here in the U.S. can't. Like they have VAT and all this stuff, or different taxes for stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to pay $200 in shipping for just this bike. So to deal and see like the whole thing, I think look-wise and what they showed, if someone's into having a bike, whether you drive into the city of Chicago and you park on South Side Chicago and then you want to ride your bike up to Wrigleyville.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. It's a nice bike. You're not really pedaling a lot. I mean, you can still pedal it. But I think it's for anyone who enjoys a nice ride, compactable. You can take it on a train. It's no different than a Divvy bike, and I think those Divvy bikes look absolutely ridiculous.
Whoa.
Why is
Dude,
that?
whoa.
Whoa. Let's go. We want to go down this path. We can go
We
down
can't
this
go down the Divvy path.
I would agree with you that the Divvy bikes do look ridiculous, but as an experienced user,
Diary of a Div.
yes, I do have. There's a couple posts out there. We took them down from the starter log, but they're in other places, and I can send them to you if you want them. I know all the struggles of a Divvy rider, so those things. That's as fast as we can make them go.
Yeah.
So if you see us being
Wait, are they
very slow,
electric? Are they electric?
they're not electric.
Oh, they're just pedals.
But they have 3 gears, and the third gear is probably the lowest gear on any other.
They look like they're 1 ton. How heavy they
They're
look.
so clunky, extremely clunky.
Not very agile. Or
No, but they work.
I totally get it. I think it's an awesome bit. Like whoever started that, wherever that was started from, I think it's an awesome thing. North Central, my my college I went to, they did something like that. Instead of having actual designated spots to park these bikes, they kind of left it up to the honor system, and they have these red Pee Wee Herman bikes,
Right.
like those big red Schwinn's, and they bought 50 of these bikes, and they strategically placed them around this small campus. And before you know it, people were bringing them into their dorm rooms. They had 8 locks to their own thing. And the bikes are all run down. People are stealing them. So I sometimes question humanity when it comes to that, because it's here's a school trying to do something nice, and everyone is always taking advantage of something.
Yeah, no, honors not on a college campus.
Yeah.
College campus, you're trying to get save every penny, pinch every penny that you can. So I completely
Maybe you don't go to college.
understand. Yeah.
Before we continue, we're going to say bye to our Facebook Live followers. We're going to follow. Feel free to check our podcast out. It should be out in about a week or so. But I appreciate you guys watching, and be sure to follow us and Ojo.
Hey, look, we're thanks for having
So
me. High five.
really quick before you go, the purple phone, the purple app on your iPhone that says podcasts, that is iTunes. A lot of people don't know, but when someone says we are on iTunes, that means you go to that podcast app, the purple one on your phone, and you search for the name of the podcast. So you would go there, search for the starter log, and then we would pop up. So that's the same thing. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people don't make that connection. I just want to say that that's where we are. That's where you'll find us. Or you can go to thestarterlog.com and listen from there too. Yeah. So
Since we're still live tomorrow, our St. Patty's Day, open invite to this area where we're at. You know where I live, so we'll have some beers.
if you know where the lab is at,
if you know where
it's
the
going
lab
down.
is, you're invited 100%. So
Yeah.
Thanks for joining.
Let's continue.
yes.
All right, Joe. So I probably should have started with this, but tell our viewers kind of real quickly what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Good question. I guess I should know who.
You know
I
this one,
should
right?
know.
If I have any sense of credibility. I
Although
guess.
who doesn't know Ojo?
Not enough people don't know Ojo, and I hope to get to a level that more and more people know about Ojo. I guess Ojo Creative really is a company that I don't know how it started. I don't know how it manifested, but I think it's just an appendage of who I am as a person. And, I like to think of my company as bridging the gap between idea and execution. So whether it's like a small business that has an idea for like a promo video or a cool type of ad campaign, I hope to be that person they could go to help bridge that gap between their idea and my small business's execution of that idea. Primarily, I do shoot a lot of wedding films, and I would say that's like what I'm mostly known for. That's how I started. That's the fastest way that I thought to force myself to learn something that I now consider my passion. So if it's not shooting wedding films or small business promos, I do tag along with probably the best guys in the independent film circuit around Chicago. I often make this argument that if there's like 50 top Chicago film people, whether it's a grip or a director or a director of photography or any of those, I'm like proud and happy to say that like I know like at least 25 of those guys were all connected somehow. And by having a bigger connection space, it allows you to spread out. So
Yep.
I don't know how it happened. I think a lot of it has to do with just being a kind person and sharing that passion and doing a lot of stuff pro bono to learn.
Right.
And I think we talked about it once when I wrote a little write-up for you guys, knowing your worth. And
Yep.
So that's kind of a little bit about me.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So, like, an entrepreneur, what do you think, like, one or two things that was, like, the biggest struggle for you in the last, 4 or whatever years you've had Ojo? What's that, like, one thing that's like, man, that's been tough to get over?
I officially started my LLC in 2012, but during that time, I was like still working for the ad agency that I was with. So everything I was doing with Ojo was kind of like fun money and like hobby stuff. So like
Right.
that's how I kind of acquired more gear, because even though I had a regular job, I was doing weddings for like a couple $100. So I would use that extra cash to like buy a new piece for my camera or a new system. So it started accumulating. Then I learned how to charge more or use that more money to invest in other people to help shoot with me.
Right.
But it's funny you asked that, because I was thinking the other day, how do I consider it? I consider where I'm at currently in my junior season. So 2 years ago,
You're a football player.
I'm a former football player. I can't help without the correlation between the two. But I would say freshman year was obviously 2 years ago, and I did 27 weddings, and it was a price range from $1,000 to, I remember the most expensive being like $2,200 or something. I remember I'm like, oh my god, this is a lot of money, and I'm like, how do I do this? Like, it's constant work. Really didn't have a foundation. Was just saying yes to everything, and doing a really good job, and having awesome people work with me and develop relationships and really kind of make a dent in the wedding circuit or wedding industry.
Right.
Sophomore year, I won't lie, I felt like I had a sophomore year slump. I just felt like, how could I make a wedding different? How could I make each of my wedding films different? Or how could I further myself as a wannabe filmmaker?
What year was your sophomore year?
So sophomore year was 2014.
14.
No, that was freshman year, 2014. 2015 sophomore. 16, I just came off my. So I guess I'm going to my senior year.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like it's my senior year. I really do. Because now, after doing all that and learning mistakes with the sophomore slump, junior year, finally learning not to bite off more than I could chew, realize what you can, but also still take risks. And one of the risks I've been trying to do is really implement photography into our video segment business, and that has been a huge challenge because I can't do both, as well as I do one, so like I need to find, and I've been working with a number of photographers to find the right fit. Thought I had the right fit, really wanted him to be the right fit. Unfortunately, he did move to a different place, and he's got a new job. Super happy for him, but it helped me kind of realize, like, okay, I got to handle this a little bit. It was more like a kick in the butt, like, all right, get something right. I didn't offer him the strongest foundation for him to build his small segment as a lead photographer for Ojo Creative.
Okay.
So that came on me. So part of going on to senior year, now it's like, all right, what's my senior year thesis about? Website, the marketing, the Facebook, like all the stuff that I completely negated freshman, sophomore, junior year because I was too busy trying to learn and do things, that now I'm like, all right, if I want this to be and I want to graduate with honors, this shit needs to be done, done right. So
That's kind of how it happens in high school and in college. When you get to be a senior, and even when you're like on your way out, like, why did I care? Why did I do it that way? You like ask you, like, why did I care so much about that stuff, like freshman or sophomore or junior year? Like that's when I was coming out of college as a senior. Like it was almost like I wanted to go back in time and just like punch my sophomore year self right in the face.
I think that's a huge point too.
It.
Like, I mean, from your experiences, like once you hit your junior, senior year, your extreme focus is one, getting better at what you want to get done.
Yeah. Or
freshman, sophomore, you're like, ooh, let's play around, let's do this, let's do that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you snap into gear and it's like, I'm a senior. I gotta get focused.
Yeah, the 25th hour comes and you realize you have no service hours done to graduate. And then you're running around downtown Elmer's. Can I pull up your trash? Can I do anything? Could you write 2 hours for taking out your trash and all that stuff? So, it's funny that we're talking because I feel like I'm having like a discovery right now in that regards of realizing that it is kind of like a senior year and looking back and like, man, I was an idiot freshman year or sophomore year, man. Like. Yeah. I thought I was at varsity level, but, you know, I was kind of acting like a little biatch. You know, I need to stop being so big-headed. And then junior was like, kind of like, junior is always difficult. Junior, it's like, do I want to do this still? Like, maybe I'll switch majors. It's too late to switch majors. So, like, now that I feel like I'm in my senior year, it's like, okay, like, let's go to it. You know, let's get stuff done. So, that's how I feel about it.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. Football.
Yeah. Is there graduate school included in that?
You know what, graduate school, if I'm still finding excuses of where I'm not where I should be, I'm like, guess what, guys? It's masters now. Like, I'm finally realizing websites should go up. Like, masters is where I learned it. Right. So, I don't even know if there is. But
awesome. Well, let's go to a segment.
Okay.
One of our favorite segments. Why is that a thing?
Why is that a thing?
Yeah.
This has been I've been so nervous about this.
It's a fun segment. We've had a lot of good things, a lot of things said in our podcast. Do you want to start it, Charlie?
I'm gonna actually pass this off to Joe.
Right.
He's on a roll right now.
Okay,
so
all right. I'm first. So I listened to my brother's podcast a few weeks ago on your guys on the Starter Log.
Timmy, right?
Timmy, yeah. And his answer was hilarious, but it also made you think. A lot of people think that why is this a thing is you never really think of why this is a thing until someone asks you, you know?
Right.
So one of the things that I've noticed is that I work with a lot of young people, young photographers. So I have like this weird, association with them that I start to pick up on their language and how they use abbreviations for everything. You know, I think we all know DAF, dope as blank. But they do speak in a different...
I didn't even know that, by the way.
You didn't even know that?
No. Wait, so...
DAF?
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Well, that's...
dope
as bleep. Yeah, dope is...
That's a new one to me.
I say it all the time. And I say that all the time. I've learned that this language that the young... And when I be younger, like 18... It's like 23, really talented, but they have this new language that I don't know where it's come from. I'm assuming that's from the abbreviations of texting over the years. And I found myself speaking like this. I'm 31 years old. I'm talking like a young hipster kid using this. And I've noticed that those abbreviations and that way of talking has now entered the way of acceptance in emails. So when I'll get an email from someone as a young potential photographer or a young creative, and they have LOL in it,
no way,
or DAF, or it depends. I'm pretty easygoing. I feel like I often open the door for that to happen, which I'm totally okay with. I want people to be themselves, whoever works for me, as I would expect them to let me be myself if I were to work for them. But I'm just seeing like this language. Why is this a thing? Like, why is the world going to a direction of like abbreviations on everything, Yeah. Why is that a thing? Not quite as funny as my brother's, but I would say more thought provoking.
It's always a competition, right?
Yeah.
I use it a little bit. I'm more of a ha in text.
Oh my god,
LOL,
I hate ha.
But I do catch myself using LOL quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our friends will use it, and like it's just so it is easy.
There's not an abbreviation for that's funny. You know, it's like I'm never like laughing. I'm never ROLFO like rolling around effing laughing, and I'm not ha 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 like laughing ridiculously.
Right. He just giggled.
Yeah, I'm not even giggling. I'm just kind of like, fun.
Huh.
Like that's funny. Like what is that? How do you even do that? You know?
Why don't you make one up?
There's a lot already out there, man. Like some people are wizards with these emojis and all that abbreviations.
Is there one in particular that you use a lot?
I'm an LOL guy, but I'm a lowercase LOL guy. I hate a capital L with a small O and then a lowercase L. I don't like that. If I'm gonna do LOL, I just like the simplicity of a lowercase L with a lowercase O and a lowercase L. I know we talked about this with my own small business, how you spell Ojo.
Yeah.
There's something about capital letters when it's like 3. You know, like the, for instance. I like the underscore, or not underscore, but lowercase the.
Yeah.
I just hate tall letters in front of 2. Like, I don't know. It's
some kind of creative thing.
it's a weird thing. It's an aesthetic thing.
One thing that I use, I feel like it's more professional than like kind of like ROF, whatever that is.
Yeah,
Like,
what is it?
It's IMO, in my opinion.
IMO?
I've actually, I use that. I don't, first of all, I don't, personally, I try to keep my emails like pretty professional.
Yeah.
And like well written. I'll use like exclamation points.
Yeah.
So I think I would not want to hire someone personally that is not at least professional
Well, I never said this,
email
but
or talking about a job.
Yeah.
But
Is IMO like the older cool version of these young? Because this is my first time hearing
I don't know.
IMO. In my own opinion, I've never heard.
but you use it via text, Kevin?
Yeah, via text,
Okay.
just like IMO, like
Right. Yeah, I'll use that. I think texting world and email world for me is different.
Yeah,
Different.
100%.
Yeah.
I've noticed that from texting and emailing.
This brings up a question though. So like, if you're doing a work email and it's like real quick throughout the day, you might just have to be like, real quick, get this done. Are you someone who has to say like, thanks, or has to have a reply?
I am struggling with this because I've always been bad at emails. Even when I was at an ad agency, I refused to use their business or company email just because I just didn't use it. I don't know why I didn't. I had my own email server, my own type of email thing, and just never really developed strong habits on that. But as I get more into the professional world, I sometimes look at professionalism in emails. Like, I'd rather have you talk to me the way you talk to me in person on an email. When it's so formalized, I find myself like sitting upright and writing like stuff that I don't even do in my regular life, like, which I probably should, but I'm like, I'm not even there yet, so I don't know where I was going with that.
I think it's like almost unnecessary. If it's like, emails can turn into conversations.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
If you need to say, like, even if it's not part, like, if it's not part of your signature, but like, if you feel like you have to write thank you or I appreciate your time, like, to me that's just like, you don't need that if you're in a good culture or surrounded by good people.
Yeah.
But I feel like that happens.
I think it depends on the person you're sending it to. At least for me, it does. If there's someone in my office who is a little bit more casual or who I talk to often, and it's really just kind of rounding out or ending the conversation, like an email that says, yeah, that works, and that's it. Like, I will do that. And someone on my team I work with regularly, I will do that. But if it's the CEO of a company, then yeah, I'll put a salutation at the
I
end.
think it also has to do with your mood that you're currently in when you go to open up an email. There's been times where I've been like in such a crappy mood that when I'll open an email, I'll be like, take for instance what you said, yeah, that will do. I'll read it like, yeah, like that'll do. This guy's being sarcastic with me, So it really gets that I've learned not to take anything from email or even text so literal. I don't even care if it's the most well-written thing ever. Until you're in person talking with each other, there's no better form of communication that is more clear and concise as doing what we're doing right now, talking about it. So,
you can't do that, and I feel that probably in some relationship fights, not personally that have happened with me, but just with people, it's when you associate tone of voice with a text or a email. When you associate, and you don't know if that's the tone of voice that someone said. I think a phrase, that's fine, can be taken bad or good. Can be taken bad or good, but you need that. You don't have that tone of voice associated with it. So to anyone out there, don't assume tone of voice, because I feel like if you assume tone of voice, like, that's fine, in your head sounds like someone is being standoffish
That's
with
fine.
you.
It's like the worst phrase.
Well, yeah, that's fine is never that's fine. You know, like, but I agree. There are times where that's fine is simply that.
Yeah.
It's that's fine. I don't
Yeah.
care. Come over.
Right.
Like,
No, totally.
whatever. Like, we're done. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I will say, since for those who are listening, I will give one little secret into a text or an email phrase that if I do, I'll be 100% clear with you guys what it exactly means. If you ever get a text or email that starts off with HMMM, that
Periods.
means I'm like,
Dot, dot, dot.
that really means that like, whatever you said, like really kind of didn't sit well with me, and this is my way of kindly showing you that like, I don't want whatever you just said to happen, whatever, good or bad, and I usually follow with like, oh, okay. Okay. Like, and it's just a little bit of like, and I'm just being honest with that. Anytime you see a from me, that means I'm either confused and I'm too embarrassed to ask what it is, or I'm like almost kind of insulted that you would ask that, you know? Like, make yourself available, you know?
And before we go, I just want to go back to something that popped into my head about 18-year-olds talking in abbreviations everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just because we're millennials and we have that reputation of being very techie and very social media driven, which we are. But I even think back at how I was growing up and the fact that I didn't have an iPhone growing up, and my first phone was a Nokia phone with the Snake game on it, which was just an amazing game.
I bought my case from Yorktown. It was blue
Right.
with silver buttons, and I had a hologram skull on it.
That sounds gnarly.
It was gnarly.
But this group, someone who was 18, we came in at, like, iPhones were getting big when we were kind of like hitting the, like, okay, we're going to start like being somewhat mature and like out of I don't know when I got my first iPhone, but I don't believe it was in high school. It was probably sometime in college, at least me. So anyone younger than us kind of like grew up, probably had an iPhone maybe in high school, and I think that has affected it. So just think of like kind of those years of them growing up and the technology that they use. We were kind of on the tail end of it.
Well, do you know what that new age group is called? You know, like
So what is that?
So they're called digital natives. So digital natives are people who are born with the internet in existence. So that technology is at them from birth, whereas we didn't have it. We're like the tail end of the millennials. Not the tail end of the millennials. We're the forefront of the millennials, where we just walked away from playing with like blocks or playing outside in the creek, you know.
Right. We were still doing that.
Yeah,
Yes.
not riding our bikes playing Pokemon Go on the prairie path over here, which I think is a great game.
I do too, but I know what you're saying.
Not into it personally, but seeing kids outside is nice, you know. Anyways, let's move on.
So do you have a why is that a thing? I have one.
You can go. I don't.
So
I
the
don't
one
have
thing, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but
what's it?
Why is that a thing? Still,
I
wanted to touch base on one thing. Why is that a thing? Is license plate stickers? Like I can't fathom how we have not adapted some type of technology to where a police officer just can't look at your license plate, type it in, and say, "Oh, he's updated his license plate."
Yeah.
Like, why is it a thing where they actually have to send you in the mail? I don't get much
very
mail,
archaic.
but when I do get mail, it's mail that I don't care, like from the bank, like, yeah, throw it away. Like,
Dude, that's a huge why. Mail. Like, mail, first off, we're talking about like two things that the government runs, you know, the post office and the DMV.
Right.
So that stuff, you know how like military gets tech, and then we usually as civilians get their technology like 10 years later.
Yeah.
I think that goes 30 years later for like the DMV and the post office. Like, we'll give it to them later, you know?
Yeah.
It's horrible. So I think the why is that thing with the stickers, the only argument I can make is that like they could quickly look at the color, because right now it's green on your license plate sticker.
Right.
I only know this because I was literally 7 months late. I was going to try to go the whole year and just completely bypass the color.
Right.
And no one thought I could do it. And then after I was getting more and more tickets downtown Chicago because like the random cameras they have, I'm like, I guess I'll give in. You win. $700 later, you know?
Yeah.
Stupid decisions.
I guess I didn't think about the color, but still, it seems like there could be a more efficient way, in a non-money grabber way, because it's like.
It's always money, dude.
Yeah.
It comes down to it. There's no reason a ticket from a red light camera should be $150 when you're parking wrong. So
So
F that.
I hear your pain.
So no post office, no DMV, and no more emails. Is that what we're doing? All right, cool.
Kind of another question for you. We got kind of, we asked your brother this, of kind of a little bit similar question. We asked your brother kind of what's kind of his specific, like if you had one awesome day, what would it be? What would it entail? I kind of turned this question a little bit and like make it more of a really successful day, although kind of more geared towards like work. You're on top of your stuff and you're like, man, this is one hell of a productive day.
Yeah.
What did I do? What was that like keystone habit, or what was that one or two things that like, you know what, if it's I got up early, or maybe I slept in and I stayed up late, or what is that one thing that just made you like, boom, man, I was productive because of this and this and this?
Well, it's hard for me to say because I don't feel like I've had the most productive day ever since I've started my business. There's examples and there's glimmers of, success that I see and like silver linings that I see, but it's very different as a small business owner or an entrepreneur. A day it should be always super successful, but when you put that much weight on your shoulders, you sometimes feel like it's so much you just clam up and then end up taking a nap and falling asleep and trying to sleep past all the stuff that you should be doing because there's so much. Like an average person who has a regular job, can structure their day and they can meet their goals. For me to be like self-reliant on like, all right, what is my successful day? What do I consider a successful day? Most recently I've been doing all my wedding clients' DVDs and Blu-rays, and this process is like so tedious. You got to make these like make these templates for their DVD package, and then you got to burn them out. Make Blu-rays and DVDs, and it should be, as I thought, like press click and play, click and record, or click and burn. It is like that, but I found myself, I'm like, dude, I'm getting like 6 of these done a day, but that's me sitting at the computer like all day.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm finished with it, I'm like, dude, super productive day. But at the end of it, when I sit back and think of like what's the definition of productivity, I'm like, well, did I just become like a conveyor belt? Is a conveyor belt putting out stuff or things or content or product all day long? Is that considered productive? So ideally I'd like to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, do my emails, get some sort of project under my belt to start, and then move on to go and making phone calls and cold calling and furthering that.
Yeah, so I think that's tough too. Is like, I think we all have some type of monotonous job, like in the day to day. If it's doing something on Excel or writing up a report, where it's something like you're doing with the DVDs, where it's like you can't really get anything done. That's like you're productive because you're doing something that you need to do.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're growing. Not like you're learning anything.
Exactly.
You already know how to do it. You're doing it, and it's like, okay, well, this is it.
So like I guess like if you call it productive in that sense, but you feel like garbage after the fact, is it considered productivity? If you consider waking up early, getting a lift on and a run, and then going to your 9 to 5 and being in bed by 10 o'clock, well then that's awesome for you. Like that's productivity and like that's great, but like as long as it makes you happy, I guess at the end of the day. Like
no doubt.
For me, it's this industry is so different, and I hope to get to a point where it's like, I hope and I don't hope that it ever gets systematic. I hope it's always different, and I think when it's always different for me, and I'm out doing things, that's when I feel like I'm actually doing something. That's when I feel the most productive.
So I want to challenge your point that you said, because I understand your work is not in an office, and every day could be a little bit more different and challenging, but I don't think that you can't structure your day the way you want it. Like, I think that you still can, and that involves, first, with planning it.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a 2-hour segment that's just for film editing. But first you have to plan that out, and then you have to hold yourself accountable to switching gears when the time comes, so that everything you want to do, cold calls, editing, emails, it's all moving forward on that day, right? Because in your day where you're completely just editing, none of the other stuff is moving forward.
Yeah.
Right? And so it comes with structuring that. And that's something that I've just started doing not very well. I would say okay right now.
I think you're doing incredibly well. It's actually almost intimidating to see how well at least you have your own structure. You know,
it took a while to figure it out. I'm just I know I'm helping you out with some stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I just put it on my calendar that only Friday and Saturday is I make time for Ojo stuff.
Yeah.
Monday through Thursday, I have to hold myself accountable and say, no matter what happens, unless it's a fire, right? Unless you're going to go bankrupt or whatever, but you're not, that I don't do it on that day. So it's first holding yourself to that structure, but then making the people that you work with also abide by your schedule. Like, unless it's a client and you want to land this client, like, okay, maybe I'll drop everything. But if you, and I want you to do it to me or to anyone else that you're working with,
Yeah.
like if this is your 2 hours for editing, say don't come over now.
Do
you
it.
know, like
Yeah.
honestly, I could walk through your door and you could sit down with me.
Yeah.
But then the editing's not getting done. So it's just like having it's honestly having those boundaries. And right now, at the current company I'm working for, we're just setting our client success team was pretty much getting or being abused by the customer. Like the customer was dictating what we did for them and when we did it for them.
Yeah.
And we're just getting it to the point now with a lot of the processes that I'm putting in place where we're meeting halfway. We're saying, no, based on what you're paying us, we're going to do this and it's going to happen at this time.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's setting those boundaries as long as they're fair. You know, if you have given the proper amount of expectation of when a wedding video will be done,
Yes.
then you have the time to do that, right? So, but it starts with first planning it out, but then just saying no and just being very restrictive around that. So I think that it is possible. I don't think.
Oh no, I definitely believe it's possible. And you
Yeah.
share the same sentiment my good friend Anthony's told me. You know, like having talks like this, and I appreciate getting challenged because if anyone's going to sit there and say like, "Oh yeah, like you're totally creative. You should be able to sleep when you want and do this," that's like the wrong advice. I would never want it. And if I ever accepted that or didn't accept your challenge, it'd be like, dude, I'm being an absolute, biat right now. So, it's stepping off what you said, I know where, and I sometimes see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, if I just do this, like if I just fix this, do that, but I shouldn't even say it, but knowing the darkness around that, it could get overwhelming. And it's like, dude, you got so much shit. Where do you even begin? So it really comes down to putting pen to paper, which you've helped me with, and helped me put like the schedule down and getting stuff done. It's just this industry gets so wild where,
It's like battling like discipline versus default. Like we've all been to going to work, or you go to work and like all of a sudden you gotta edit your DVDs and we gotta do all these reports and you're just complete default. You're going like this. You're typing on the keyboard for 6 hours and then all of a sudden you go home and you're like, what the heck did I just do?
Yeah.
That's default, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but then there's discipline. Okay, what's the discipline? What's different? Like back to default, it's like driving a car. You ever been on a 10-hour car drive? Like I used to drive up to Fargo and drive back. I knew that drive. I knew that drive like the back of my hand. And all of a sudden, like at the end of the long drive, you're like, the heck, where was I?
Yeah.
Like, what was I doing?
You're like
I was
out of
completely
body.
on default. I didn't even know what I was listening to. I don't know what I was doing.
In 8
Completely
hours
on
had
default.
passed.
So how do you become disciplined in that? Okay, you turn on the Star Log podcast, listen to it, and get better, right?
Yeah.
Shameless.
So it's
Shameless
how
plug.
can you become disciplined in the default work that you have to do?
Mm-hmm.
It's just trying to find some way of actually getting
Yeah.
better.
I'll be the first to admit, it's been, out of everything, it's been the biggest challenge. Surprisingly, it's not a challenge to have people purchase my product or purchase my service. I thought that was going to be the hardest thing. The hardest thing is being is disciplining myself to further that to a different level. Right now, I'm at like an idle level where I'm like, okay, wedding couples are happening. I'm doing this. I got a good, but like, how do I take it to the next level? And taking it to the next level, really, it's not about having someone help you out. It's like, dude, it all comes down to like looking yourself in the mirror and being like, can you do this? Do you want to do this? And just like Shia LaBeouf says, just do it. I love that.
Yeah.
Meme. So
I want to give you an example because this is something that happened to me. So when you're just kind of when you're not setting those boundaries and you're just kind of doing what's next, it's only the short-term things that are getting done and nothing like long-term is getting done.
Yeah.
So when I was in my old role in my company, I would always say to myself, okay, there's all these small little emails in there. There's like 10 to 15 of them. They're only going to take me like five minutes an email, 5 a pop. Let's just get them all done, and then I'll work on the big reporting project, right? So that was my philosophy every single day. by the time I got through those 10 to 15 emails, guess what? 10 to 15 more would come in.
Yeah.
And then I would say the same thing to myself. That would happen just consistently, repeatedly. There would be like meetings, interruptions. By the end of the day, the reporting project isn't started. Mm-hmm. It's because I wasn't setting my boundaries of when I would and would not do things. So if you are setting those boundaries, which I'm sure you'll work on, you will.
Yeah.
Your short term is moving forward and your long term is moving forward. Because no matter what, you've told yourself and you've told everyone around you, like, sorry, I have to make time for this long term project too. So they're both kind of at the same time.
And that's what it comes back down to bring it back full circle to the senior year thing. You know, I've done so much in regards to like stay afloat, and I'm like doing a little chop shop, like enough to get by, you know, and my system for enough to get by works. But the system I need to implement for enough to conquer is like, wow, that needs to be a completely different overhauled engine for that. And it has to come down to just realizing the fact that, you know, go out and just do it. Like there's no other way, no one's going to get you out of the hole other than yourself.
Right.
You know? Yeah. Cool. All right, we're doing it. Positive people.
What we have a few more questions, but I was wondering if you have any questions for us or
I did
actually.
actually. We'll come back to the questions that you guys have for me, but I did have questions for you since I'm in the artist world. You know, everyone says like, "Oh, he's so original," or "They're so original," or whatever. This thing's original. Do any of you feel that an original will ever truly be an original? Where does originality spawn from? Unless you like grow up in an all-white, pure room with no influences whatsoever, my argument is like there is really no original.
Right.
You know, I feel like everything is a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and then like all of a sudden, look, I'm wearing a snapback right now in 2017. Like when they were more popular in like the 90s when they didn't have custom fitted hats.
Right.
So well, like, what is an original?
I would ask this: what is an original in your definition?
Eminem is an original to me, but then again, he spawned from his influence of whatever his life and his artist that he listened to, Steve Jobs, an original just by his mindset and way of thinking. There's not people who can emulate what either of those two do. But there are people who do try to do that, you know. So like, I guess I just gave two of my like.
No, I think
people I like in my life.
My I guess definition of original is someone who's gained experience and gained influence from the people that they spend around a lot of time with, but they're willing to dedicate their time, their energy, their focus strictly on what they want to accomplish from those experiences that they learned. Does that make sense?
So a lot. You threw a lot at me.
Okay, so. An original is someone who has gained experience, knowledge, and influence from the people that they hang around with, their teammates, for instance. But they have had the ability to focus their energy and perspective and focus strictly on that one thing that they want to master, right? So like all those people that may have influenced them did not necessarily focus on that one thing that this guy did.
Yeah.
So it's basically like I can learn from so many people, from so many coaches, from so many leaders, or what all this stuff is. And if I become an original in one thought or one idea, that's because it was my main focus. And I was willing to go through all the barricades to get there.
Yeah.
To where they might not have because they were trying to be originals in different spaces.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I get what you're saying.
So it's it's a trickle effect, like you said. Obviously, you can't be original by yourself. In reality, you can't. Teamwork is everything. Teammates are everything. But you have to have enough courage to step the boundary and go over the wall.
The reason why I asked that question is in my college marketing class, we watched this like mini documentary on this company called Look, and I don't even know if they're still around, but they were a company that were like literally it was like a company like the Charley, Kevin Cook, Joe Mastrino, and then any other people that fit our vibe that we would go out and look for originals, and they would use that for casting, for print ads. Like they'd go out and find originals. And I remember watching. I'm like, they're just going out and finding the kid with like a neon hat. Like what defines someone's originality to it? And then at the end of the day, I would argue that like, I don't think anything's. It really comes down to who's either listening to that song, watching that movie, or following that artist in any spectrum, like, I guess it doesn't mean, I feel like the originality is like a dying breed. Like, when will we see the next person that's truly original? Because you hear it all the same. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, like, awesome guy, I love listening, but I hear that type of stuff like all over, you know, like, and, you know, he's talking about all this stuff. I'm like, all right, this guy's cool, like, but I don't know if he's resonating with me because it's somewhat, like, it's almost like so gruff with it, you know?
Right. I think originality, to Kevin's point, it lies not in, like, the idea or the concept, but in the execution. Because everyone can have the same thoughts. Like, everyone can say crush it like Gary Vee does.
Yeah.
But Gary Vee is just executing it in a different way. Like, Gary Vee is doing a YouTube
Yeah.
video a day where a guy follows him around
Crazy.
and crushes
It's awesome.
it.
I mean, it's awesome. It's crushing it.
Right. So I think it's maybe more. It's first, like you said, it's in the first time that it's documented.
Mm-hmm.
So someone hears you say something and they document it and they put it on the front page of paper. But Kevin could have said that yesterday.
Correct.
So it's the first time it's documented. But I think it's more, the originality could come from, I guess, documented execution. Like, everyone can kind of we could have the same idea to start our own business, but who's doing it first?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And in their way.
it's in reality, it's getting your ideas from other people, but
Yep.
literally focusing on that solely.
Yeah.
Right.
And doing it. So, like, for Ojo, you're getting ideas from multiple people.
Yeah.
But then when you have your one big idea, that's
Yeah.
going to happen in your graduation.
Yeah.
And, like, your graduate school that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Like, you have that one idea, that's your sole focus, and then hits off, and then you become a
Right.
I agree with that. The only reason why I was asking that question, I often ask, like, why am I the way I am? You know, like, why do I like filming weddings? Like, why does a 31-year-old single guy like filming weddings? And
He is
stuff?
single.
Yeah, gotta throw that out there. Single. Which we'll come back to because I do have one of your questions. I want to reference that more or elaborate on that more. But the question I ask myself is why am I the way I am? And this is a little secret I've done. I Googled 90s TV commercials. And this is back in the day where we didn't have DVR, fast forward, and I came across like all these compilations of like 90s TV commercials from toys, from the toy companies to like GAC to all this weird stuff. And when you watch them, you remember, I almost go back in time. Like, I remember seeing my couch and like realizing like, oh, I do like that chime or that song or that rhythm or that. It's a very bizarre. If you ever want to know why you are the way you are, just Google your like lifetime of like when you're like 5 to 8 and those commercials, because those things shape you. I mean, at least from our generation, because nowadays I don't think kids are watching TV the way they did.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Their apps are shaping them who they are. You know,
That is
it's
true.
all-
Yeah.
It's all relevant.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
somewhere.
True.
We're
All
getting
my
shit.
old nerdy hobbies have come back in like the last like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I started
Pokemon.
just all the things I did in the 90s. Now I'm just doing them again
Yeah.
as a 26-year-old.
Yeah.
And on like a digital scale.
That's what's crazy. It's like we're all okay with like all the movies that redo these movies. Like they're redoing all this stuff, and it's cool. It's nostalgic, but I mean, like
It's not
I don't
original.
know. It's not original. Like it's not original, but you're an original for your love for WWF and all that.
I used to
stuff.
watch. Now I have a podcast about it. Like
Dude,
that
it's
is
awesome.
just
Yeah.
the rehash of
Right.
it, and it's just come back. And so
Did you watch the 30 for 30?
the
documentary?
XFL.
XFL.
I did not. Yeah, I need
Oh
to
my
watch
God,
that.
watch it. It'll change your life.
Yes.
It's great,
I had
dude.
season tickets.
To the XFL. That's awesome.
My dad, like we had Chicago Run tickets and
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, I forgot
and the
about
XFL
that.
tickets. We were on the second level.
Yeah.
First row, 50-yard line, 1 through 4 seats. Kid you not.
Did you?
XFL.
He hate me. Was running around.
He hate me.
Did you see
He
a
hate
game?
me.
Did you watch a game?
Yeah, I went to 2 games. I had one of those like one of those like foam hats.
Yeah, it was like the footballs were cool, but you couldn't grip.
What was our team name?
We were the Enforcers.
Enforcers.
Yeah, come on, Chicago Enforcers, what's up?
Sorry,
They
Vince.
went to the Bourbon Bowl, you know.
What else you got?
Other question I had, I do feel like that went long, but how do you define success? You know, I feel like the idea of success is always monetary and financially. You know, I hate the idea. I hate Dan Blazarian. Like, I hate what he stands for. I hope this doesn't come back to bite me. I'm sure he's probably like a really cool dude, but like,
hold on, because your brother last week said he loves Dan Blazarian and
yeah,
wants his life.
yeah. This is probably news to him why I don't like him. I find his type of wealth and success is the cliche epitome of what people define as that. Girls, boats. I mean, money. I mean, it's awesome stuff when you think about it. But I'm like, there's so much other stuff that you could be doing with that. So I don't know. My question to you guys is, how do you define success? Is it the house with the picket fence? Is it being happy in a little cabin out in the woods by yourself? You know, like, what do you define success as?
So, I think that the user defines it. The user defines success. Whatever they want to be or their end goal to be, if they've achieved it, then they can call themselves successful. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. But if I had to, I guess, go a little bit deeper than that, I would say, like, career-wise, I would say just respect. Like, not a monetary value, but if you're someone who is respected, if your opinion is respected at whatever it is that you do, or if you have enough following where people will listen to what you say and then maybe implement it into their life, like, I think that's successful. But I don't know, if a person just wants something in the middle or mundane and that's all they want, then and they've achieved that, then I don't see why they shouldn't call themselves successful. But yeah, I would just, if I had to go deeper than that, I would say just absolute respect for whatever it is, whatever your craft is. So when your name is mentioned, then the person's taken back like, oh yeah, actually your opinion means a lot to me because you've had success in this area. So,
yeah.
I would think, I think that's a great answer, but I think, in my opinion, and I think this is rare, but I think in a simple definition, I would say someone who wakes up happy and comes home from work with a smile on their face.
Hard to achieve. I would argue that would be hard. That's hard to achieve, and when you get to that point, I would agree with that.
Right.
That's success.
But I think, like, I honestly think that that's like the ultimate success. Like, to where you get up every single day and you wake up happy and then you come home fulfilled from your work.
Yeah.
Right.
Because 99% of us have to work. Okay, but I'd venture to say that 85% of us don't like our jobs, right? And so, like, there's a huge gap there, and a massive gap. So, true success, like, because you see people who, like, hate their jobs and have the money and have the cars, but they're essentially just not happy.
Right.
And
that's a good answer.
And regardless of, like, people say, oh, well, your job doesn't bring happiness. Well, in reality, you literally have to be at your job for at least 40 hours a week. Right?
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God, I don't like thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time.
And for majority of people, it's in reality 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right? And if you hate your job, you hate your life for 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
oh my God, you're right.
So it's like, are you going home? Are you getting up happy and you coming home happy?
I'm glad you went second, and then I didn't follow that because I think I would agree with that answer.
Yeah. No, I 100%. When you started talking about the 40 hours, 80 hours. It reminded me of a time where I worked for a printing company, and my boss at the time, she knows probably if she ever listens to this, she knows I love her. I love her tremendously. She was a great little boss of mine, but it was like the most depressing work I've ever done, to the point where, like, I was coming home and, like, just unhappy, and it was, like, showing in my life to everyone. And this is when I was, like, starting to do editing and everything for our weddings. So I'd go to edit a wedding film and edit young love, who are younger than me, about to go get married, and, you know, have what the traditional form of success is, which is they love each other, getting married, and going on honeymoons. I'm editing this with, like, such, like, a salty taste in my. I'm like, yeah. Oh, you love each other? Oh, going to Bora. Oh, like, who cares? You know, like.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, that's something I've been working on in general with, you know, a number of things.
Right.
My place in general, where we're currently sitting.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, I think that's why. Just as, like, coworkers, I just think that's why. First of all, you work together, and then you want to go out and talk about work. But I think that's why coworkers just become, like, really close, and then want to, like, go out with happy hours with each other.
Yeah.
It's because we spend Like, I spend more time with my coworkers than I do, like, seeing my family, probably, as a whole, like, on a week.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And some people don't think about that. Like, your family should be your most important, but you're not spending the amount of time with them as you are. You're always around your coworkers.
You'll
5 days a week.
literally see your wife or your husband or your coworkers more than your husband and wife.
Correct.
You can think about it.
Like numbers speaking.
Yeah, numbers.
Like,
Like,
you
strictly
go home
numbers.
and you go to sleep, and then you wake up and you're gone to work. Like,
Yeah.
So, are you happy? Are you happy at work?
I like both of your definitions for it. That's good.
Any more questions you have, Joe?
That was it
No,
for
so awesome. So, one thing I just wanted to ask before we finish up here is, I mean, what does the future look like for Ojo? What's the next step? What is one thing that you kind of want to get into, or one thing that you kind of see your company kind of?
I'm really excited for Ojo, namely because of the relationships I've built over these past couple of years. I'm working with probably the best independent contractors, filmmakers, directors, grips, artists. Like, honestly, I keep on looking at where I'm at and mutual friends, and I'm like, holy crap, like, yeah, I'm friends with them, or we collaborate often. We just came off of a shoot that I shot with, Rob Stern. He's a great, awesome friend. He's like my Obi-Wan Kenobi, who's got me started this business, taught me a lot. And then he introduced me to a guy named Chris Hirschman, who we shot all together with yesterday for LaCie Hard Drive Company, Shure Microphones, the Windy City Smokeout we did last year. And by we, I mean they end up choosing to have me shoot for them, which is the biggest compliment ever. And then coming together as a full team, I'm now realizing, like, wow, there's a lot of resources out there, And the more you say yes to people that you may be slightly unsure about, I remember meeting Chris Hirschman at the time, and I was like a little bit like, all right, I heard this guy's cool, and I'm like, I couldn't believe how cool he was. And then he introduced me to another guy named Corey Pop, and then Corey Pop's like, this guy did this guy filmed that, and then you start to see like, oh, Rob and Corey know each other, they're working, and you start to create like this atmosphere of just like pure like getting stuff done. Like, it's awesome.
Right.
So to answer your question, I'm very excited for where Ojo's going. My goal is to really start pushing the commercial route. What I've noticed is that a lot of successful shooters in general have stayed with a brand that has been true to them from the beginning. So like a lot of people in LA start off as skateboarders and end up filming their friends and then end up landing contracts for like BMX bikes or GoPro style stuff. Chris Hirschman, former musician, awesome musician, he's landed contracts with Shure Microphones, audio. Like, so I'm like, where's my niche at? Like, what am I good at? What's my background? And finally understanding that it's weddings, and like love, I guess you would say, and filming that and filming it well with the people I work with. I do think I really want, I don't know how, but to somehow find a way to do something with like, like a Zales or like a David's Bridal or something in that realm at a more professional commercial level where I don't have to film it with 8 cameras because I'm afraid to miss the first kiss. Instead, script it, write it, produce it, and then boom, it's out there and it's helping both. You know? So that's where I'm hoping to go in 2017. At least get 1 to 2 of those under my belt. If I got even 1 of them under my belt, would be like, I would look at 2017 and that would be like a huge success for me.
I think you got 2 really good things going for you right now as Ojo. You're very well networked, which is great. And I mentioned that a couple times, but it's good that that's going to be your niche if you want it to be your niche, because emotion and video go together like 2 peas in a pod. So video is just a fantastic platform to display emotion and emotional marketing and things like that. So I think that's great. If that's going to be your vision, commit to it. And then, the network is there for you to help out and for you to add additional services and really completely satisfy a bride or whoever it may
and
be.
you saw firsthand, and actually you saw firsthand. You guys helped with a little unofficial Ojo production, but shooting for the little commercial that we did for Johnson's Baby Powder through Neil Fisher over at Radar Studios. Like, those are specs, and those are kind of like things you do as collaborative pieces with your artist to kind of work your flow, kind of write something, do something without someone over your back, be like, this is right or this is wrong. And you guys saw the process. I should ask that question. were you surprised to think or to understand how much goes into shooting a commercial?
Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy. Like, I mean, what was it, a 25, 30 second?
It was a
clip?
15 and 20, I think, spot.
Yeah, so a 20 second clip that, I mean, it was a 6-hour production almost.
Like, well, not even the time before to lock that stuff down.
Not even the time before to set everything up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was 6 hours just for me being there. I didn't really do anything, but like, it's amazing how much time and effort goes into like one small product. Like, and that's such a small scale. Imagine like what it is for like a wedding that you shoot.
Yeah.
You know, like it's,
well, you know, weddings are different because you don't have time to light. So when you work with someone like a Rob Stern or a Neil Fisher
Right.
or a Corey Pop or Chris Hirschman type, these guys are trying to be masters of their crafts of what they're responsible for. And so like there is time, and there's like, I like things rushed, and I've had a hard time letting artists like just do their thing because I was like, why does it gotta be this long? Why does it have to take forever to shoot this?
Yeah.
And then you realize like, wow, man, like I never even thought of that. That's like the continuity thing, and I'm learning a lot from those guys. So I'm happy you guys got to see a little piece of the pie there, and I can't wait to share that and tag all you guys in it.
I think that I agree with Kevin's point, but there was a lot of things too where I felt that they maybe could have been more professional, but you still, and not to the sense that it was janky, because it wasn't, but you guys made things work, or like there were like tips and tricks that happened, like the smoke.
Yeah.
Like that was our locker room.
Yeah.
Having all of our locker rooms.
All our locker room.
And I looked at the screen and I was like, and I told myself, there's really a shower back there. I was like, is there a shower back there? And the way that you did the smoke and the curtains, so there was almost, and I don't want to call them shortcuts, they're not, because they're purposeful tricks that almost like maybe cut more time off where it could be more time. Because I was just convinced that we had a shower in the back of our football locker room, and there never was one.
Never one.
There was 4 years. Right.
I mean, they had like 3 I mean, that's a long story, but...
So I thought that was just the coolest part,
Cool.
is that there was a bunch of different, I don't know, it's almost like you took a bunch of different puzzle pieces and kind of all worked them together. Like a bunch of different people there, an actor you just brought in just for one day.
Yeah.
And it still all worked, and it came out really professional. It did take a lot of time, but it was just really interesting to see.
That's the thing, man. It's like, I don't know, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to finally admit to being an artist to that degree. It's, you know, coming from like the jock world of playing football and playing sports, and like when someone said like, oh yeah, you're an artist, like I would hate saying that. Like it's like you fight it and it's like, oh no, like that's weird. That's like, I'm fine. I'm not quite there, but I do feel like I'm getting there more and more each day. Like, I guess what I do is artistry. Like filming a wedding, some may look at it as like, oh yeah, but look at what we do. Watch a wedding. The best compliment I get on our wedding films is that people feel them rather than watch them. And like, I'll put it, you know, I'll back that up 100% because it doesn't matter if you're at that wedding or not at that wedding. If you watch it, like you'll feel something from it. And that's like my main goal of Ojo, and my main, I guess, premise is to make people feel it.
That's awesome.
Feel it.
That's a good why.
Good why. I know my why better than what I do, so.
Wait, so we gotta say your why then, because Timmy, great guess. He
Yeah.
didn't, and this is fine too. He didn't have a why when we did ask him, which is a perfectly acceptable answer. But what is yours?
Well, I think what we're talking about the same Simon Sinek's golden rule.
Yeah.
People don't buy what you do; they buy why you do it.
Yeah.
And then when I heard that podcast or that TED Talk, I mean, it simply changed my life. Like, and when you made the comparison to Apple versus, you know, TiVo and all that stuff, you know, I have to be able to say what I do. Like, yeah, I could come to your place and film your wedding, and I'll film it to the best of my ability, and this is how much it's going to cost.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a big difference, like, look, I insist on shooting your wedding because we love what we do here, and we do it really well. We just happen to make pretty good wedding films. Like, do you want to use us? You know, it's up to you.
Right.
So my why, I feel like I have a stronger purpose because I know why I do it. I love it so much. I love what I do so much that I do feel like it's been my biggest strength, because those who see the love and passion like that I have, and I try to. I'm not like walking around like, you know, this, you know, this angel, like I'm like always loving what I do. It's a challenge to love in general, but I do feel like that's one of my biggest skills is like getting people to believe in your idea and why you do it. Because
Right.
if you don't share the same thing that I feel, like, I don't think we should work together. I don't think we should partner. Or I don't think we should do what we should do together. And there's no hard feelings. It's just, you got to believe in what you're doing. And I believe 100% in it.
That's cool.
The what comes after the fact, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And I feel good about it.
Good. I'm glad you do. That's all we have. I know. We'll finish it off, but I do know that I think you're starting your own podcast, or you have a podcast. You want to plug it? Want to plug
We can
it?
go right into
So-
shameless plugs.
This is a shameless plug. My reward for myself after all my due diligence is done for Ojo Creative, such as website, Facebook, social media, Instagram, Pinterest, all that stuff that needs to be tied in together. My reward to myself is something that I find fun, which is a podcast. And I won't lie, I give a lot of credit to you guys for doing it. Starlog is awesome. I love what you guys are trying to do. My podcast, a little bit different concept. It's spoken to the fellow artists and the fellow people that are in my industry that go through the trials and tribulations of being an independent contractor, which, Charlie, you will come to find out. I know you're getting into the freelance world. And in Chicago, those 4 months of cold, it's like you want to just jump out a window. It is very brutal, and if you don't have a right structure, it's very easy to be like, I'm going back to get a 9 to 5.
Right.
So my podcast called Apartment 3, which is my apartment number, specifically made it to feel like kind of like a inner city cool apartment, cool vibed out, and I just really wanted to be people to come in and comfortable to talk about whether it's our first episode was with an artist and how I'm trying to help her with her artistry and how to make it a career.
Okay.
People like Chris Hirschman I plan on having on it. Taylor Tippett is this awesome girl that I've worked with. Flight attendant. She runs the website. Her Instagram account's called Words from a Window Seat. So I'm hoping to get a lot of cool people in the industry and see how it goes.
Awesome.
That's my reward.
Sweet. Well, I appreciate having on. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Starlog out.